right, well, welcome to a special edition of the Tearsheet podcast on the ground in Orlando at the FIS Emerald Conference. I'm Tearsheet Editor-in-Chief, Zach Miller. Today, we're going to be talking about revolutionizing retirement, the future of financial wellness. And millions of Americans haven't saved enough to maintain their standard of living in retirement. Record keepers play a critical role here in addressing the retirement crisis and setting savers up for success. I'm going to be joined by Will Hicks, Head of Global Retirement Products and Services at FIS, Sherry Baker, SVP, Head of Global Wealth Products and Services at FIS, and Deloitte's Scott Parker, Principal U.S. Retirement and Wealth Leader. And we're going to discuss the evolving role of record keepers, including the need for modernized platforms, protecting against cyber threats, and navigating new regulations like Secure 2.0. We'll look at how tech will create dynamic financial wellness hubs, making retirement experiences smarter and more personalized. Welcome, guys, to the Tearsheet podcast.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks for having us.
I'd love to just very quickly go around the table and just introduce yourself by name, title, and a little bit about what you do. We'll start with you.
Sure. Will Hicks, Head of FIS Global Retirement Products and Services. So we operate on 3 systems today. A system called Omni, which serves our institutional clients, which is in the retirement space, Relias, which is more for the small market. And then we're building out our FIS retirement platform, which serves both the small and the large market on new technologies.
Welcome, Will.
Hi, everyone. Scott Parker. I'm a partner in Deloitte Consulting. I lead our wealth retirement practice. Been serving the largest wealth and retirement organizations for the last couple of decades around all things to help them compete, differentiate, modernize their platforms in the marketplace.
Great. Welcome.
And Sherry Baker, I run our wealth business. We're focused on institutional trust as well as personal trust. We also have a CIT business, which is heavy in the retirement space. So collective investment funds have become an alternate asset to mutual funds. We run an outsourcing business and really focused on helping our clients, whether they're banks or retirement organizations, deliver wealth across the industry.
Well, welcome all. And I know it's the first time podcasting for everybody, and I hope wish you a good experience for everyone. Given retirement crisis in the U.S., how is technology helping record keepers better engage participants? We can just throw that into the middle, somebody pick it up.
Sure. I think it starts from a regulatory perspective. When I look at things like Secure 2.0 with automatic enrollment and automatic increase, from a regulatory perspective, that's where it starts. I think then it bleeds into the technology phase in terms of how you deliver that. How do you actually let participants know how that impacts their financial future, right? So it starts from a regulatory perspective, and then technology just latches onto that and enhances.
And I agree with that, Will. And I would add that there's an incredible amount of opportunity when we think about the impact record keepers can have on helping participants save and invest and prepare for retirement. I think we're at the cusp of really taking it to the next level and getting outside of what we've always done in the past, which is more and more communication, absolutely take advantage of some of the auto enrollment programs, but we're getting to a new level of having data accessible, available, and we can create a different hyper-personalized experience that really the industry has never seen before. And across wealth, banking, retirement, it's a pretty unique opportunity.
Yeah, and I would say the convergence of banking, wealth, and retirement, we're really seeing that across FIS. Our clients are asking us to bring those solutions together because they want a clear picture of not just their retirement, but what are they doing in the banking space? Do they need a loan? Is it best to take out that loan from their retirement account? Is it best to, maybe do a bank loan? So how do we start to bridge not just retirement, but complete financial wellness across our client base and provide better insights and data to our clients?
Right. And I think, Sherry, you hit on something very important there, retirement, wealth, and then banking. So if I think about banking and then FIS's footprint there, once we start to tie in how banking behaviors, how income and spending habits affect your long-term growth of retirement and then your decumulation in the wealth phase, we can start to change behaviors by looking at all those insights in one vacuum versus looking at them separately.
And we're uniquely positioned because we have the data, right? We have a lot of joint clients. We've also run a trust company. So in addition to banking, wealth, retirement, we actually manage the assets on the institutional side. So we have all the insights to be able to present that data back and help not just how do I retire, but how do I look at the entire wealth picture of what I'm doing on a daily basis.
Yeah, I think for too long we've thought about retirement record keeping, and that's how we serve participants or individuals. It's all in context of just the retirement plan. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't mean anything to what is actually their concerns, what matters to them, what is actually happening outside of their 401k plan. They may have debt that is outrageous. They may have 3 children versus somebody else who doesn't have any children. there's lots of different aspects that if we don't go outside of the record keeping data and what we know about that person from payroll information, we can't meet them where they're at. We can't know what's going on in their lives that matter more, like such as banking and such as paying down debt. And the answer isn't always save more in your 401k. It could be many other things that are more impactful to that individual.
Yeah.
So I'm hearing two things from you guys. One seems like there's kind of a institutional or ecosystem led change, and the other is that savers are expecting more as well. What is this is double clicking on the last question. Like, what's driving some of the changes? Is it individual led or is it institutional led? It's a binary structure. Maybe it's both.
Sure. I think it's two things that's driving that. One, it's the participant expectations and the behavior of the newer generation in terms of how they look at their finance. So in the past, you would check your 401k account balances maybe once a year, maybe twice.
Put it in the drawer.
Put it in the drawer. That's right. And I think today they want to check that every day, just like they check their bank account. And I think we've been restricted from a technology perspective. It just wasn't possible. The data wasn't normalized across the industry. If you think about banking, wealth, and retirement, different data sets, different technologies, monolithic code in both places. Now we're moving to more modular, Java-based application, cloud-enabled. The data flows from system to system. So it allows us to get those insights and allows participants to look at their financial wellness in a different way.
Yeah, I think their advice has always been this thing: do we provide advice? Don't we provide advice? Individuals want advice. Yes, they want you to guide them, but they also want you to help them understand what to do. Tell me what to do, and without having that more complete picture of their life, it only goes so far. And in fact, we see most traditional retirement organizations even rebranding and saying we're not just retirement, we're a workplace. Yeah. And workplace means a lot more than a 401k plan. It means, how do I think about health savings? How do I think about emergency savings? How do I think about debt management, cash flow? It's just it's broadening of what individuals want, they're thirsting for. And maybe the last point is employers recognize that their employees need the help. And they're broadening and having higher expectations of wealth providers, retirement record keepers around, you're at the center of their financial world, help. So I think it's coming from both angles.
And I would say in today's day and age with TikTok, and you get in one of those algorithms where information is just flowing to you, it challenges individuals who are looking at TikTok every day to say, okay, how am I investing? What funds am I in? What does my lineup look like? I mean, I have a little brother who's 10 years younger than me, and he asks me every day, have we put the family's assets in a trust because they're worried about tax ramifications? And, generational wealth is transferring, and they're smarter, and they're using, tools like TikTok to get advice and guidance, and they're not as they don't question that it's not coming from a financial advisor, right? They see that as the information that they're consuming, and they're rationalizing that information, and it's making them make different decisions.
I want to shift gears a little bit around some of the regulations. You guys mentioned that in your introduction. So how is technology evolving around new changes in regs like Secure 2.0, and how do we simultaneously create better experiences for savers as well?
Yeah, I think the regulation tried to push us in the direction of looking at accumulation and decumulation separately, right? If I look at Secure 2.0, again, I go back to auto increase, auto enrollment, but there's also required minimum distributions as well that play into that when I talk about decumulation. So I think from a regulatory perspective, it's already pushed us in that direction. Now, from a technology perspective, we have to figure out how to make that engaging to the participants, how to educate them on what those regulations mean and how it helps their financial outcome.
Yeah, I think we're like halfway through this implementation of Secure Act, and we have a long ways to go. But when we get to now and as we progress, it is broadening the expectations that people will have, because it's not just about saving more. It's about things like student loan, and how do you think about that? So I actually think it coincides with the demand by individuals for more advice, the demand by employers for helping me more. It's just giving more tools in the toolbox to help the individuals.
And on the wealth side, we're more, apt to interact with clients on the decumulation side. And so really thinking about where are those assets invested? When's the right time to, and what to do around minimum required distributions, and how do they accept those payments, and how do they take those into their account? So we're really focused on the back half of that, and not as impacted by Secure 2.0, but more on how do the assets transition, and how do they take those payments?
We've had a lot of conversations on our podcast over the past year about the acceleration in cyber threats, where they're coming from, how they're being implemented. How is tech keeping pace in this industry?
So one of the things that we talked about yesterday is whatever tools we have in our hands to better support our call centers and make things better, their bad actors have them too. So we talked about things like we are using tools to kind of rationalize accents and language in conversations. We know that bad actors have those too. So how do we do things like put tools and technology in place to do, data verification in addition to voice recognition, because it's ever changing. And if we have the tools, they have them. So we have to really be ahead of that. And I think FIS has made major investment in cybersecurity and tech, and we use that every day to make sure we're making good decisions about how we're, authenticating and how we're interacting with our clients.
Yeah, I think and FIS is important there in that narrative. Uh, FRP is the only record keeping platform that actually has a fintech behind them, right? So all of the security that goes along with the banking and payment side then also translates over to record keeping. So I think that's at the forefront. That's from the prevention perspective, but we also have products that help from a reaction perspective. So for example, if a bad actor did get your information and they did try to go after your assets, then we offer dark web monitoring. If your name pops up there, then we monitor your credit. So we have a reactive approach as well as a defensive approach at FIS.
I do think it's a factor, as companies the size of FIS have the investments behind it to put this in place. We still have a lot of smaller organizations that don't have the resources to invest in cyber and fraud. I think it will actually continue the consolidation in the industry to firms like FIS that have the infrastructure in place. So I think it will go into the consolidation theme that we've been living through over the last few years.
Right.
We had our bots organization come and speak to our executive forum yesterday. And one of the things they talked about is outsourcing cyber.
Yeah.
So we actually have a group that is really looking at how do we supply KYC, AML, how do we do that service on behalf of our clients? And I think that's going to be a unique opportunity for us.
I guess the advent of Gen AI must also, create incredible pressure here. I spoke to a top 5 bank CTO recently, and he said they spend about 70% of their resources on cyber right now. And it's like, imagine the brain power, the money, the energy spent trying to keep the bad guys out. It's like unbelievable. Have you seen an impact of AI on some of the way that the bad actors are trying to crack things open?
Yeah, I mean, I think what we talked about yesterday was specifically we are thinking about removing accents because and background noise and things like that in conversations, and that's really helping clients when they call in not have to ask a lot of questions like, I'm sorry, I didn't understand. What were you asking? And that rationalization tool that we're using, we've got bad actors using it too. And the problem is then some of the voice recognition and things that you're doing to authenticate, that they already know what you sound like. They're recording your calls when you get those spam calls, and they're using that against you. So we also have to have, how are we using two-way authentication? Are we sending them one-time passwords and things like that to make sure that, we're really protecting our clients?
And hopefully Gen AI will just help the FISs and the firms stay the one step ahead, because it's going to be an endless cycle of they're always catching up. So it's just AI should help accelerate some of that growth, both on the good side and on the bad side.
Use it against us or with us, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think, in AI, it predicts behavior, obviously. And so it's about cutting the thread off before it happens. I think, again, FIS is uniquely positioned. We have, I think, more associates in security or AI than a lot of our competitors, a lot of our clients even. So I even tell clients, when you go out and you pitch an RFP, or you want to talk about security or data security, it's our data security that you're talking about. It's our protections that are in place that you should pitch to your clients, not yours as we hold it, right?
So we talk a little bit about this convergence between retirement and wealth management. How do you guys coordinate to evolve like traditional retirement platforms into what we're calling now like traditional like wellness hubs?
I could talk about the hubs. I mean, I think it's been really hard for the industry to break down their own organizational silos between retirement, wealth, banking. There's a huge recognition that they need to do that. So that's step one, is just organizationally being ready.
Decumulation.
Exactly.
Silos.
And then once you are able to break those down, you think about a financial hub. You're not building a new financial hub in retirement when you can leverage the financial hub that is in wealth and in banking. So it's not just bringing and integrating the two organizations, but it's all the capabilities that come with it, which is, I think, the real opportunity. We've spoken about this convergence for a long time. I'd say over the last 18 to 24 months, we're finally seeing it in a real way, and it's showing up to individuals in a real way.
But I think our clients are also thinking differently, right? Brokerage used to be a separate business than wealth, and oftentimes they would compete and they didn't want to share client information. And they were like, no, I handle ultra high net worth, I handle high net worth. And they might even have a different platform. And so it was really difficult, that single sign on, that user experience, that mobile application, it wasn't really combined. And now as we're starting to, jointly talk to clients, they're really thinking about, we need one, experience with one mobile app, with one, integration layer that actually brings all of this together. And I think as FIS is thinking about, how do we get data to the cloud? How do we streamline through Code Connect, our API layer? We're starting to be able to bring solutions together that help form that one FIS, integrated platform.
Yeah, and that was the catalyst for our modernization within retirement. So we're upgrading COBOL applications, VB6 applications to Java-based systems, using global data stores, containerized code, APIs is our communication layer, and that's what allows us to hook into vendors and other applications inside and outside of FIS. So that's where you get the connectivity into wealth and retirement. Again, it starts at the technology, repositioning and modernizing that.
And clients are looking for an ecosystem. So it's not always going to be just FIS solutions. We're going to have to think about the third parties that they work with, and how do we make sure that our platforms integrate and really make that data and information available to create one seamless
And
experience.
Sherry, I'm glad you brought up the digital part, because I think it's such a big channel for how people want to engage these days. And when you have a retirement digital experience that looks completely different from your wealth experience, looks different than banking, that's confusing, right? That shows that there is an integration. That maybe there is in the background, but
Yeah.
you have to unify that experience so that it is one cohesive experience for individuals.
And the younger generation is demanding it, right? They work from their phones. They are not going to go into a branch. They're not going to go in, and pick up the phone and call somebody. They really they'll chat, right? Versus, doing those types of activities. And they're comfortable with that. Our generation and our parents probably aren't, as they're getting there, right? But the younger generation demands it.
And the huge wealth transfer that we're like moving into, that wealth is going to those individuals, Sherry, that you mentioned, that expect to interact in a different way.
I want to, we've spoke a lot about the competitive pressures and some of the trends happening today. I want to think a little bit more like longer term, so maybe midterm, 3 to 5 years, what you guys are seeing around this table. What's going to have the biggest impact on retirement outcomes over the next few years?
I think really it's going to be the systems and the tools and bringing together of data and education, right? All through one experience. If we don't bring that together and kind of provide that to clients, I just don't see the benefit or the outcomes, getting to the right place. I think it's got to be seamless. It's got to be a unified experience. And we aren't going to talk about banking and retirement and wealth. It's just going to be, financial services.
Right. I agree. I think the architecture of the modernized platforms, again, is the catalyst to that. I think our clients want to be able to hook up to other startups. They want to transfer their data to other vendors, and they want to do that easily. So setting up our architecture in a way that allows that, I think, is the next wave. We don't know what the next product they're going to use, but so long as we set up and normalize our data in a way that it can transfer from one system to another, and we set the standard, I think that's the next wave.
Yeah, I mean, I think I put advice at the center of everything that is being delivered to the marketplace. And to give relevant advice, it requires everything that the two of you just mentioned around data. It's not just data, it's insights behind the data. It's not save more, save more. It's about pay down debt. It's about other things that are relevant, which needs a connected experience.
I think of us as the TurboTax of the future, right? All those widgets and what do you want to do and where do you want information? And you just click on a button and everything's at your fingertips, right? I mean, I think that's where we've got to go.
We talked a lot about that on our podcast, about how embedded finance enables that to happen. I want to end on a very serious question. I want you guys to take a minute to think about your answer. We're here in Orlando. We're here at the FIS Emerald Conference. Who's your favorite Disney character and why?
Oh, I'm going to take us way back.
Let's go.
Cinderella all the way.
Oh, you knew it. Okay.
Cinderella
Why?
all the way. Exceeded expectations, right?
Nice.
Simba,
Simba. Okay. Why?
Because he was king.
because he became king, but also because I've watched it about 1,000 times. So.
Okay.
I would say Figment. Being a figment of your imagination. I love that, the
I
whole
don't even know that. Disney.
Epcot. He's a dragon, a purple dragon.
Yeah.
Amazing. You'll have to go back.
Oh, no, does he-
You'll have to go back. Obviously, I grew up coming to Orlando. I had 5 brothers and sisters, and I spent a lot of time here.
All right.
Jerry, Scott, Will, thanks so much for joining us on the Tear Sheet Podcast. Let's bring it in
All right.
and let's look at waves, everybody. Ready, go.